Welcome to the Green Zone Podcast, the show that teaches oil and gas executives how to take command of their finances and live in the green. Your host, Jeff Green, from Green Financial Group, will be your financial guide, all while giving you a tour of the most beloved and best-kept secret spots around Houston, Texas. Now, on to the show.
Change can be a good thing, but the uncertainty of moving forward can spark fear and maybe even stress. Jeff Green and Lauren Smith of Green Financial Group have a guest who might be able to help with that. This is the Green Zone, and Jeff and Lauren are speaking with Cindy Wylie, a career and life transition coach. And this big transition we're talking about, right, Jeff, is the move to retirement?
It's a big transition for people. I would say the majority of our clients are retirees or those, retiring from the oil and gas industry and leaving their work for the past 30 plus years of their life. I have a partner right now in the office who's considering retiring, right? And he is struggling with it mightily. Because in my office, a lot goes, Jeff, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what to do with myself. It's an issue, that life transition, especially from retirement or from working to retirement, is a big transition. I'm a huge advocate of having a coach. I personally have had a coach for the past 18 years. My coach is an industry-specific coach. I attribute a lot of my success to him. He'll tell me, Jeff, it's 5% me and 95% you. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't be doing that 95% if he wasn't helping me figure out what it was to be doing. He helps me with my client experience, which is most important to me, and just helping improve my business. So I wanted to bring Cindy on, and I've had the pleasure of speaking with Cindy a couple of times. She specializes in life transition coaching. Is that right, Cindy?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Get you to tell us a little bit about coaching and that transition from working to retirement.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jeff. And I'm with you. The transition that I enjoy the most, because I can relate to the best, is retirement coaching. I'll get into that, but I think that your listeners might benefit from understanding what coaching is, what it isn't, how it's different from therapy, that kind of thing. Would it be okay if I start with that?
Absolutely. Please enlighten us.
Okay. All right. Glad to hear that you've got a coach too. Fabulous. So do I. Every coach should have a coach. Of course, I'm biased, but I think everyone should have a coach.
No, you're right. My coach does have a coach. Yeah, he does.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Most therapists have therapists. Most coaches have coaches. It helps us as we work with our clients to better understand what we're doing, because we all have those filters that keep us stuck. So in that transition, the most important thing to know about coaching is it's not about the coach giving advice or giving directives. It's not consulting. It's not motivational speaking. To the contrary, ultimately, it's about what the client chooses to do. So coaching is actually, it's a partnership, and in which the client has the answers to what will work for them. And so the coach's role is to help them find those answers and then put them into practice in order then to get them unstuck and propel them into a course of action.
Wow. That you just described exactly what my coach does. You're right. I mean, there's no magic pill for anything. And people in my industry are always looking for the magic pill. How do you do this? Give me what works. And that's not it. That's not the answer. The answer is within. And he told me this one time, and this has stuck with me, and it has worked for me. But he said to me one time, Jeff, ask yourself better questions and you'll get better answers. And that is really what you just said. And you, like my coach, help people find those answers that are within them.
That is exactly right. The good news is I can't screw this up, because ultimately it's not about me. It really is about you. It's about the client. It's asking those questions that you need in order to reframe, readjust your thinking. I mean, we all have filters. We all have life experiences and in life history, we develop a way of looking at things. It makes us who we are. It helps us do what we do best. But some we grow out of, some just don't suit us well, but they're still our default.
So it's about your values and your belief system. We all have a value system and a belief system, and then you go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you help people really understand what their values are and what their beliefs are.
That is at the heart of coaching. That is the overarching key to all coaching, is identifying the values. Because if I don't coach to the values, and they're not my values, they are the client's values, then it's not going to work. And that's one of the things that we do early in working with clients. There are different ways to assess values, and we can talk about that in a little bit, but we can do a basic wheel of life. Here are all the components of life. Where are you? Where do you want to be? What's keeping you stuck? The other thing about coaching is that generally it's short term. It's about a 12-week contract, because it takes about 3 months to really make small, incremental, achievable steps. There's that ladder analogy where if the rungs are too far apart, it's too big a struggle. You're not going to feel comfortable. You're just going to quit. But if you've got intermediate rungs on the ladder, then it's much easier to move forward to get to that third or fourth higher rung.
Yeah. My contract must have expired. It's 3 weeks. I've been doing this for 18 years.
You just need a lot of coaching.
I need a lot of coaching.
Well, and please don't misunderstand. I would love to have you as a coach. Let's talk after this, shall we? It's generally about 12 sessions, three months, just for whatever one goal is. Let's call it 4 rungs. Throughout our lives, things happen, things change. Coaching, I picked, tell you why in a minute, but I picked a program to get my certifications that I researched because that's just who I am. I've got to dig in and then question my questions. And I went with IPAC, which sounds like it should be an Apple company, but it's not. It's the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching. It is a very intensive coaching program, but it really does allow you to coach almost anything. So the basic principles of coaching remain the same. I like transition because of some of my own personal experience. I mean, I was very, very, very fortunate to be able to retire early. I mean, trust me, it was through nothing that I did, but what I found, and I guess what I inherently knew, this goes to the whole values thing, what I knew but didn't know how to articulate was I had spent my entire life working to somebody else's values. I had been paid a compliment by a family member that I adored. And so that's where I got my degree, and I worked for 25 years in that profession. And I knew right away I wasn't very good at it. I certainly didn't like it. I found my way, but I always felt like there was something missing. So when I got out of the profession, I did a lot of volunteering and a lot of advocating. And I kept finding this common thread, which was helping people achieve whatever it was. It wasn't the big organizational part. I can do that. Not what feeds my soul, not my value. My overarching value is service. So I chose these transitional coaching and retirement coaching specifically because it's something that I can relate to. Most people in my age group, demographic, we're right there we're getting our COVID vaccines, give you an idea about how old I am. It's scary. I mean, it is scary.
So, a couple of things there. First, I'll mention this because you've mentioned values several times here, and I really I couldn't stress it enough myself. And I'll tell you a quick little story. Lauren joined the firm, what, 5 or 6 years ago?
Yeah, it feels like forever.
It feels like a long time. But anyway, but a few years ago, I said, look, I'm going to put you through this business planning process. And she's like, okay, great. And we do this with my coach, by the way. The first part of the business planning process has nothing to do with business at all. It has to do with yourself. It has to do with uncovering what your values are. And I think it was a deal that you were. I don't know if you were prepared for that.
I mean, it was an entire day. A 3-day business planning, an entire day, 8 hours was dedicated to looking within and how I view the world, how I view success. It just, really coming down to what values are for me, how I describe certain things. It
gets deep, and you can look. And there's a lot of times you can take a look within and not really like what you see. But then my coaches, I'm sure you do, Cindy, give your client the power to change some of that.
Exactly.
So we do this on a yearly basis. This is why I've been doing it 18. I do this every year. I go through the same deal because people's values change over time. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. And again, you can do things, I don't advocate it, you can do things that are not in keeping with your value system. But we all know what stress can do to us physically, emotionally, and it can wreak havoc on our relationships. So identifying what your values are it's critical to being an honest, authentic person in your relationship with other people, but also in your relationship with yourself. And I am a huge fan of different assessments for different situations. Ultimately, all of them go back to finding values, establishing that baseline, that foundation, that's a better way to put it, for who you are, because that's what you build from. That's when you hear, I just heard myself do it, the change in energy, the excitement, that's what you want to listen for. When you hear that, you've got something to hang on to and build from. Conversely, you hear the voice go down. Something's not right. And so that's where we dig in as coaches. That's where we dig in and we start asking those probing questions, questioning the thought process. One of the things that's gotten a lot of press here lately is negativity bias. We've all heard about negativity bias.
Oh, well, all you got to do is turn on the news, right?
Right. Thank you. Personally, I like all of the press that it's getting, because if negativity bias says that we're going to spend 5 times more energy figuring out all the things that could go wrong, then it's 5-to-1 ratio. So for every one thing that I go, oh, I suppose that could work, there are 5 reasons why I'm going to tell myself that is just not going to work, not going to try it, ain't going to happen. It's human nature. We can go back to, I'm not going out of that cave. There's a mastodon out there. We can take this way back, but the key to coaching is turning that on its head. But why not? What if? Then I'd like to think I'm a little deeper than that, but that's the basis for it.
Right. Cindy, tell us a little bit about retirement coaching, because that's really who's listening to this, or people who are retired or getting ready to retire or thinking about retiring. So what would you say to somebody who's getting ready to retire? Because we deal this with our clients a lot. There's some sad stories out there about some of our clients that have retired. There's also some very great stories out there. Talk to us about what you would say to somebody going through that transition.
Especially if there's, certain questions they should be asking themselves leading up to retirement.
Right. Other than, can I afford to retire? We got that stuff covered. It's the mental stuff.
You got that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. All right. Good. Glad to hear that. I'm going to say it again. You're going to hear me say this 100 times. But just like any other kind of coaching, retirement coaching is partnering with the client to define retirement for themselves. And no two people are going to follow the same path. Again, goes back to the values. There are people who are transitioning in, or people who might even have stayed too long in the workplace because they don't know what to do. If I leave, I don't know what that looks like. It's creating that path. It's achieving whatever the goal is for them. So, when you talk to someone who's currently in the workplace, or even if they're out of the workforce, and you say, tell me about yourself, invariably they will say, I am an engineer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a financial planner. And they identify with those titles, but those titles are just that, they're titles, and there's a person inside. That's what's a lot more difficult to find, especially if we've been in the workforce for umpteen years. And we've been fed as a society that, oh my gosh, everything is going to change. The heavens will open the day I walk out of the office with my box of photos and pilfered office supplies, And that's not the case, because, it's a sad truth. We've all seen people that just kind of fade away when they leave. Here we go into the values. Huge fan of some of the different assessments. I'm certified in several. All of them ultimately go back to attitude, the way we function, all boil down, the essence is values. So, but there are some exercises specifically for those, well, we'll just say in retirement, it could be pre, post, whatever, that can be really, really helpful to your clients now. They can start thinking about these things even without a retirement coach. For example, sometimes we've got to go backward to move forward, in the sense that we get so much into that persona that we've created that we don't have anything that fulfills us at that spiritual level. So the coach might ask something like, what did you enjoy doing as a child that you stopped doing when you had to grow up and be an adult? That one generally, there's a long pause, and you can kind of see them going back. And that one produces some fascinating aha moments. A similar one that I've heard is, when you were a child, what were you willing to continue to do, knowing that you were going to get in trouble for doing it?
That's a big list for me.
Well, and see, that's just it. But there's a passion there that can be tapped. It might be the first time in a long time that somebody has felt that, oh yeah, I remember that feeling. Those to me are really, those are great questions. You can start taking, and I highly recommend this, start taking small steps toward what you think retirement's going to be, and start those transitions early. And this is a time to really dig into the values, because one person might want to spend time with family. Another might want to volunteer or mentor. But some people, their be all end all is traveling. This is what they have saved for. But it's important to know what your value is and what someone else's is. And if you've got a couple in retirement, then that's something to consider, because both people need to be a part of it. So may I give you a couple of examples?
Absolutely, please do. And Lauren just passed me a note over here. What she would have kept doing as a kid that she got in trouble.
That wasn't supposed to be aired.
Well, it was eating candy. That was.
But I mean, that's a passion. I love food. I love to travel.
You eat candy every day. I mean, you're a candy eater.
It's not as much about candy as food and experience, but that's
anyway,
neither here nor there.
Okay.
But my values still align. That's the whole point.
Right.
Right. And I'm keeping it alive. That is who I am.
Yeah, that's who she is for sure. But please give us a couple of examples that our listeners can listen to, and then tell us why. After you give us a couple of examples, tell us why you feel someone going through this transition should hire someone like you.
As a result of my former career, I was an interior designer, worked solely for commercial architectural firms. I am not a good designer. Not a good designer. I am much more of a motivator, people person. I always said I was the social chairman and did some stand up just to get people moving. I was able to do okay because I found my place. But I used to do art as a kid. I just loved any kind of art, craft, whatever. But I totally stopped doing anything creative when I got around these people that I worked with day in and day out who were amazing. So without telling anybody, I went down and signed up for an art class. I was not as bad as I had made up all these years in the workforce. So if, for example, you think you want to try art, don't sign up for a 1 month pottery class in Nova Scotia. Do an art class in Houston. Go to Glassell, go to Wash or the Art League. And if you love it, then take that trip, immerse yourself in it. But you can make these little forays into these different areas while you're still working.
Baby steps.
We talked about baby steps. Those are those intermediate rungs on that ladder, right?
Right.
Those are huge. I'm going to digress here for just a second. I have a friend whom I adore, who's a coach, and she says that coaching is like tickling. You are not able to tickle yourself, but someone else can tickle you.
I like that.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't that great? I love that.
Good.
So, and that's exactly what the coaching is about. So, same thing on cruising. Don't start out with that around the world cruise if you've never been on a cruise before. Go out of Galveston, whatever. But it's the little things. If nothing else, it will tell you what is not your passion, but hopefully it will start giving you an idea of what is. And then that's the segue into, I really do feel that a way to really propel coaching from the get-go is some of these assessments. I love one of them. It's an energy leadership index, which is, it's not a personality assessment. It's an attitude assessment. And that one is really powerful. I like Personalysis as it's like 3 personality assessments in one. But again, it all goes back to value and finding out what that is and working with the client. So in terms of working with someone like me, it keeps you from doing the flailing that I did. I mean, it wasn't all bad, don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to do that. But when you work with a trained, certified coach, they can get to a level of questioning that comes from a place of true understanding of how the mind works, of moving you from where you are, which just feels stuck, into a place of real action, of excitement, of enthusiasm. The coach will listen to what you say, read it back to you, and then when you hear it and you start taking it apart, then you can see the flaws in your thinking. And when you see that, then you, as the client, can start going, oh, well, I could do this and I could do this. And that's where those incremental goals are achieved. One of the things that separates coaching from therapy, real briefly, therapy is taking you from the past when you're not functioning well to the present where you function. And then coaching takes you from a functioning place in the present to a place of forward action in the future. And in order to get there, in addition to setting the goals, there's an accountability piece. The coach is going to hold you accountable. In what time frame are you willing to make this change? What might keep you from keeping this change? To making this change? How committed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? There are tools that we use as coaches that keep you on track. it's a formula. It's not formulaic, but there is a formula, a structure that is just really beneficial. And you forge this relationship between the client and the coach, and the client becomes comfortable enough to really share and dig in deep with the coach.
Cindy, let me ask you a question. When we talk to clients a lot and they're talking about retirement, say, do you have plans for retirement? And I'd say 9 times out of 10, everyone wants to travel. Part of me wonders, sometimes it's people that have never really traveled before. So honestly, might not even know that they enjoy travel. I think they think that's what you're supposed to do. So, I mean, is it safe to say if you really don't reflect and look into what your values are and what's important to you prior to retirement, you might go start trying to do these things to make you happy because you think they should. But if they don't align with your values and what's actually important to you, I mean, can you be satisfied by that? Or will you, do you see a lot of those type of examples?
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it, Lauren. You absolutely nailed it. And you used the right word. You used the word should. And as soon as a client says the word should, that's when you question, is that your value or is that somebody else's? Where does that come from? Perfect example. Travel is the one, well, this is what I've been working for, and now I get to travel. Well, maybe it really is travel, but is it about the history? Is it about just being with your family? Is it, what is it? And that's where you dig in.
Yeah, and I got to think, again, I'm a huge advocate of having a coach, and I know that transition, I see it all the time with almost all of my clients, going from working for their whole lives into this retirement. You struck a chord when I think that you can help them reach a level of enjoyment and satisfaction in retirement than they may otherwise. And look, let's face it, time's of the essence, and we all only have so much time. And using someone like you, I think, can help expedite that retirement enjoyment. So, Cindy, great stuff. We really appreciate you being on. Give us a phone number. How can somebody get in touch with you if they want to talk to you?
Oh, Jeff, Lauren, thank you so much. And Patrice, sorry, didn't mean to leave you out there. I'm on LinkedIn, Cindy, Cindy, not creative, Wylie, Wylie, coaching. Phone number 713-562-5566. And email is cindy@cindywyliecoaching.com.
Great. So all this will be on the website, our website, greenfinancialgrp.com. You go under, where is it going to be?
It'll be under the podcast. So wherever you go see the podcast for this episode, we'll have some show notes, and then there'll be Cindy's information right there for you.
You'll be able to contact her there. So greenfinancialgrp.com. You can also call us at 713-244-3030.
Thank you for listening to the Green Zone podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Green Financial Group. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Green Financial Group is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. Jeff Green is the founder of Green Financial Group and is a registered principal of RJFS. The Green Financial Group is located at 6363 Woodway Drive, Suite 625, Houston, Texas, 77057, and can be reached at 713-244-3030. Raymond James is not affiliated with and does not endorse the opinions or services of his guests.